Now that was a plot twist I did not see coming. Did not see it coming. Welcome to the D. Louise book series. I'm Christina Kristina. This is where we read books and talk about books. No special effects going on here. No theme music or any of that stuff. Please check out my Star Trek Next Generation recaps on Fridays, my If Then videos on Fridays, and my Flashback Mondays, where I talk about over 60 books a week. Historicals, mystery, contemporary romance, inspirational, harlequins, erotica, paranormals, the whole 9 yards, sci-fi. And a couple of weeks ago, please go check it out if you haven't checked it out. There are several, I've put a lot of effort into these if-then videos. And I did one on Black authors that no one has watched. As of this juncture, no one has watched. Could you please go and check that out? And I did one on Native American detective, Tony Hillerman types. And very few people have watched that either. And then I did vampires and I did Fae the other day. And, I did this one a couple weeks ago, and please go check it out because I'm getting lots of book reviews or book ideas from my own if then. And if you check it out, I talk considerably about Julie McQuinn, her Time series, and I've got to sneeze. Just a second. Oh, my allergies are bad today. So, I talked about this book in my If Then series, and then I proceeded to read all 6 books. So please go check out these videos. This chick is a FBI agent who is it FBI? FBI. I'm getting my books confused here. That went on an op, and then she decided the bad guy escaped, and she was gonna go after stop doing the wires. That she was going to go hunt down the bad guy, and she went to a reenactment party in a castle, and one thing led to another, and she went through a time thing, and she ended up back in England, England in 1816. And so you have to go check out that series. But that was when the physical person went back. And there's also Kelly Armstrong's, which I'm waiting for now. A Stitch in Time, I'm waiting for those. That's a lady that goes through a looking glass and ends up back in the past too. But this Kelly Armstrong series is a rip in time what's it called? I wrote trip figures. A rip through time is book 1. And book 2 is The Poisoner's Ring. And it's different in that the other books, the physical person went back. In this particular book, and its 2 predecessors, it's a quantum leap type jump back in time. She's inhabiting the body of Katrina. And she's also an FBI person, right? Does it say? No, she's a modern day homicide detective. So she goes back. The girl was mugged in the first book and she left for dead. And she wakes up in the girl's body, in Katrina's body. And she's become friends with, you'll have to go back and watch. Let me just do this real quick. A homicide detective, Melanie Atkinson, she goes by Melody, is in Edinburgh trying to be with her dying grandmother while out on a jog one evening. She hears a woman in distress. She goes down the alley where she's attacked and loses consciousness. She wakes up in 1869 in the body of housemate Katrina Mitchell, who has been enjoying a half day off, only to be discovered that night strangled and left for dead 150 years before Mallory went back. So then she gains the friendship of Dr. Gray and Issa and Agnes, the family members. And they start to believe her that she is from the future, that she's not the maid who steals quite a bit. And Mallory thinks about her grandmother dying in that bed, how she'll never know. Her grandmother might think she abandoned her, that she never came back, that she died without her being there, and she has all these woulda, coulda, shoulda, woulda regrets. And it should get off my book. But she has all these different regrets about missing out. And then in book 2, she works with them again. They're starting to gain a little bit of a reputation. So she's adjusting to her life. She's been promoted now. She came in as like a maid, and then she was promoted up to assistant to Dr. Gray. A similar situation that happened in this book, only she went to companion and then she went to ward. But in this one, she's an assistant. He is a coroner. He likes to do autopsies, Dr. Gray. And his sister, Asilla, likes to work with herbs and make stuff for apothecaries. And Agnes doesn't... No, Agnes knows. It's the housekeeper that is not too sure about her. And in this one, let me just see if I can go through these. Agnes is the Dowager Countess, and then we have Dr. Duncan Gray, and then we have Isla, who is Duncan's sister, and then we have Hugh McCready, who is a detective. Unlike in the English book, he's Bow Street. In this book, he's a detective. Of course, this is about 50 years later than the other time series. And then they have Jack, who is their female informant. And Tommy is a newspaper guy. And there are other characters that come and go. And it has that quantum leap type feeling because she is now inhabiting Katrina's body. I'm wondering if she could, or maybe she should, well, we'll get to that in a minute. Maybe she should have somebody, she should have somebody draw a picture of her future self. Say this girl, describe herself to this person and have them draw a picture, make a drawing of it. So the Dr. Duncan and Isolette can see what she really looks like in real life. So that might be interesting something to contemplate. And so the Duncan has brought home a new maid. They have a new maid to replace Mallory because Mallory has now moved up to assistant. And they're going to go out. They've been invited to unwrap a mummy. And Duncan decides to buy Mallory a present. And you and I, well, like, flowers are nice, but I'd rather have a book. A book will last me longer than a bouquet of flowers. I've always said that. If you're going to spend $5 on a book, on a bouquet of flowers, well, actually, nowadays, flowers can be up to $20, and that's just for a simple, basic bouquet, right? Buy me a book. You can, depending on how you hit it, you could buy 2 or 3 books for $20, and they will last a lot longer than that bouquet of flowers. But he, on the other hand, buys Mallory a hand. Get this shit. I know what it is. A hand of glory. A hand of glory. Oh, the children are fighting. Don't ask me why it's called that. I lifted the hand. If this is a proper one, it's harvested from a hanged man, preferably a murderer who committed the crime with this particular hand. It's chopped off, pickled and dried, and then used to hold a candle between the fingers. Gray's expression says he's insulted that I can't even attempt to devise a more credible story. I continue. The hand with the candle is then used by thieves. Thieves Now, if I remember correctly, there are various explanations for what it's supposed to do. Some say the candle will flicker out if anyone in the house wakes, warning the thief. Others will say it will keep everyone asleep. For a thief, though, either way, I wave the appendage, handy. His eyes narrows. I'm serious. Let's look it up. It's folk magic. Which you know because in the 21st century, thieves run around using pickled hands to rob houses. Sarcasm does not become you, Dr. Gray. I know what this is because when not dreaming of ponies, I was a ghoulish little brat who thrived on the McBray. In this case, I read about it in a novel and I was annoyed with the author for making up something ridiculous, so I did my own research and found its real, and so being bizarre, naturally I remembered it. You found yourself a hand of glory, which you now have given to the thief. Well done. So, there also happens to be, just a second here. Smoke! 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 Leave him alone. Smoke. I think I need to break up a fight. Excuse me. Okay. So they go, there's this newspaper rag that is writing, good God, I can't win today. If you want to know her identity, go check out 3030 on New Year's Eve video. I had just finished all of Janet Ivanovich's Stephanie Plum series. Are you done? Okay. So go check that out. So they go to this newspaper is romanticizing her relationship with Duncan. Batting her eyelashes, bending over, showing him her butt, lifting her skirt, showing her ankle type situation, and it's just driving them crazy. So, then we get some information now. If this had been another author, I would have expected, this information to be in the back, and it wasn't. So I looked it up myself because I know if this had been Victoria Thompson or one of my other authors, the author would have been included. The information would have been included in the back of the book, but I had to go look it up myself. It is included in some of the narrative though, so some of it is there. So they go to this mummy thing, and it's going to be unwrapped, and I believe that the dead should be left alone. You know, I know they plundered and pillaged the, all the treasures that were buried with the individual, but, it's wrong to actually affect the body. I think that's really wrong. So anyways, they're going to talk about, there were 7, I should just do this while I'm thinking of it. There were 7 ladies in Edinburgh, and they were called the Edinburgh 7. And so I guess Claire Beecham Randall Fraser has to thank these ladies for being able to have her medical career in the future, another time travel Outlander novel. The Edinburgh 7 were the first women to study medicine at the University of Edinburgh in 1869 and were the first female undergraduate students to matriculate at a British university. Sophia Jacques Blake led the group and began the campaign for women's medical education in the university in the late 1860s. Isabel Thorne matriculated at 1869. Edith Peachy lived with Jacques Blake. Matilda Chaplin studied in Paris and later opened up a school in Japan for midwives. Helen Evans matriculated in 1869. Mary Anderson in 70. Emily Boville in 70. The women faced resistance from their male peers and were prevented from graduating and qualifying as doctors. In 1870, the students assigned a memorial to the extramural lectures complaining about the woman's presence in the classes, and the College of Surgeons passed a resolution about mixed classes. In 1873, the Court of Sessions ruled in favor of the universities, tried to fuse the women to grace, and concluded they could not have allowed to study at all. However, the women campaigned against the treatment, against national attention, and prominent supporters such as Charles Darwin. In 1870, they won the right to attend mixed classes, as separate classes for women were considered inadequate. The qualifications to take professional exams. In 2019, the 150th anniversary of their matriculation, the women were awarded honorary degrees and posthumous MBCHBs. So there we go on that. And I also wanted to share this little bit about, I don't know if you've heard of this gentleman, but if you talk to, oh, good Lord, Steve Martin, you should know this gentleman. Uh, Really hope they didn't find this on an actual mummy and remove it. I say that's cause for cursing. For what? A mummy's curse. At his blank look, I am about to tease that he needs to lift his head from his medical journals. Then I remember why he looks so confused. That's right, I say. The curses weren't much of a thing before King Tut. King who? I glance around, ensuring we are alone. King Tutankhamun. He went on the throne as a boy and died before he turned 20. After the turn of the century, an archaeologist will find his tomb. Then people will start dying, cursed for disturbing the sleep of the boy king. Is it a real story or a made-up one? Two small figures emerge, and it's the guy's kids. So then they go to this mummy thing, and there's the person that's supposed to do the unwrapping doesn't show up, and we learn later, when they decide, since Mallory and Duncan are already there, and since they are medical experts, they tell Mallory and Duncan to unwrap the mummy, so they can proceed with the unveiling. And it turns out that when they unwrap the mummy, it's not the mummy, it's the host guy that's missing. So then they have to proceed into a murder investigation. They gotta question the house guest, stuff like that. And I think I like Kendra's issues here a little better. I think I like the fact that she's more of a I don't know, medical officiated than Mallory is at this point. Although Mallory does a few things that I want Kendra to do. Kendra talks about teaching people how to make cappuccinos. I want Kendra to, her fiance is from Italy. If he could just send to Italy for some dough, some mozzarella, and some sauce, we could get some pizza going here. And and then, one of the things, and I'm not gonna spoil the whodunit, but there is a huge spoiler in this book. Huge, massive, off the charts spoiler. And I'm just gonna throw it, because I was wondering, because of this quantum leap thing, I was wondering, if what Katrina was doing in Mallory's body. Was she in jail? Did she start stealing stuff in the future? Was she in the hospital in a coma? Was she in a insane asylum for talking about that she was from 1869? What was happening on the other side? What was happening in the present day with Mallory's body? And, I still want to know what's going on with her body now that I know about it. But this is a huge beep 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 spoiler 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 spoiler. She gets her character is in during the course of the investigation. Gets confronted by the housekeeper. The housekeeper goes with her on this mission because she's the only one that's capable or qualified to go on this mission with her. And then Mallory gets this other bright idea to go check this out, and they go to check this thing out, and someone holds a gun to Mallory, hits the housekeeper over the head, knocks her out completely, and strangles Mallory the exact same way that she was strangled to start the series. And when she wakes up in present day. Now, I've been wanting Kendra to do that for a book, maybe less than a book. It doesn't have to be a whole book, but it can be less than a book. And they did it in here, and she did it very, very quickly. It was only a few chapters. But she went back to the future, and she was able to say her final goodbyes to her grandmother because it had only been 2 days. Now, Mallory, in her mind, has been gone 6 months, but in the future, she'd only been gone a couple of days, and she'd been in a coma, and her parents were there. So she got to say her goodbyes to her grandmother, and she got to tell her grandmother her story, and then her grandmother made her promise that she would go back, because her grandmother looked it up, and she made Mallory promise not to look it up, not to know what happens in the past future thing. And Mallory eventually tells her folks, and her mother tells her this story, and her parents commemorate with her. So what her parents do is buy the house or rent the house out. That Gray still lives in. The house that Gray lived in way back when still exists in modern times. So they devise a plan for her to leave notes in the floorboard of the bedroom that creaks, and also to put personal notes in the newspaper throughout the decade so her parents know what's going on in her life. And I'm wondering, maybe she can go back and forth again, but Mallory is pretty presentable in the past. But like I said, I would like her to at least be able to tell these people what she looks like in real life. I think that would be nice if Katrina could have died, and if Mallory could have appeared as Katrina in the books. I think that would have been good too. Like Kendra is. Kendra is herself in these books. And Claire is herself in Outlander. So that's one little thing that it's quite a quantum leap. If you haven't seen, go watch the originals. Don't go watch the new ones, but go watch the Quantum Leap with Scott Bakula. But to find out who murdered Alistair, the guy that was doing the mummies, and another person gets injured. It's really complicated and convoluted and very twisty-turny. And I'm telling you, there's a couple of twists in here that had me going, whoa! Did not see that coming! Like her going to the future. Did not see that. And I liked how it was handled. It was brief. She went back. She was able to, close those storylines, see her grandmother off, and I liked it. It was short, it was brief, and we were able to close some of those plot lines. And there's not the woulda, coulda, shoulda, what's going on in the end of it. So I really, really liked that part. I really did. But it really gets convoluted, and it's a fun story. I took pounds of notes. Just pounds and pounds of notes here. But, please go check out. It's back in last September, I believe. But it's a really short video compared to this one, where I talk about the beginnings of. It was also a really difficult time. My cat had just died, or was going to die. I ripped through time and the Poisoner's Ring. But go check those out and then come and read this one. It was good. It was much. I liked it. I liked this a lot, and I like the fact that she got some closure on those other things too. So if you could please hit the like and subscribe, I would really, really appreciate it. And please go check out all my other book reviews. Thank you.